Good afternoon. I'm Elaine Quijano. We want to take you to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where the bodies of 6 U.S. service members killed in the opening days of the war against Iran have arrived back on American soil. This process is known as a dignified transfer. The bodies of all 6 service members will be taken to the official military morgue at the Air Force Base before being returned to their families. All 6 were reservists assigned to the 103rd Sustainment Command. That unit provides food, fuel, water, and ammunition, transport equipment, and supplies. The service members were killed in a drone strike in Kuwait exactly 1 week ago today, just hours after U.S. and Israeli troops began bombing targets in Iran. Let's go ahead and watch. As we watch this solemn moment, let's bring in from Washington, CBS News National Security Coordinating Producer James LaPorta, who served as a sergeant in the Marine Corps. James, we see the commander-in-chief there. We see the First Lady there. Talk to us about the significance of the dignified transfer for members of the military.
Absolutely. The dignified transfer is essentially showcases the best of us in terms of how the U.S. military brings our fallen service members home. There's a phenomenal movie from 2009 called Taking Chance, starring actor Kevin Bacon. That movie it's incredibly apolitical and is really details the entire process from the time a service member is killed in combat all the way till their final burial place, and really showcases the work that the incredible individuals do at Dover Air Force Base. That movie, actually, which came out in 2009, so largely the dignified transfer was not covered by the media. Media were restricted from covering these events going back to the early 90s. Until that movie that came out in 2009, then Secretary of Defense Robert Gates wrote in his memoirs that that movie had a profound impact on him, and in 2009 he lifted media restrictions on covering the dignified transfer. There is a couple caveats when covering the dignified transfer. Really, it's the family's discretion on whether or not the media gets to cover these. And second, typically the dignified transfer is for service members who have died in the line of duty in terms of participating in a combat operation or current operations. So, but the dignified transfer, they're not considered formal ceremonies in the traditional sense. So a formal ceremony would be like a Medal of Honor ceremony, or when the president reviews a large company or a battalion of troops. We refer to these as solemn transfers. And so what this is doing is it's bringing these fallen service members back from combat operations back from where they were operating, and then bringing them into mortuary affairs, where these incredible people will start to meticulously prepare them for their final burial. So that is everything from getting their uniforms to look perfect, to mounting their medals, to getting their rank correct, in order to transfer them to their families and finally to their final resting place.
And James, I want to make note that in addition, of course, to the president and the first lady, we see Vice President J.D. Vance there as well. We are told by the White House that the second lady is in attendance, and the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, is also among the dignitaries who have gathered. We see the president there standing at attention and saluting as these transfer cases carrying the remains of these service members go by. Family members, James, are also in attendance here as well. Tell us a little bit about what then the process is for these bereaved families who have sacrificed so much.
Absolutely. So first, let's start with the salute. There's actually no requirement that a president or anyone else who is a civilian in a civilian capacity return a salute to service members. It's actually believed that President Ronald Reagan actually started that tradition because he felt, as commander-in-chief, he felt it was appropriate to returning a salute in the military context is showing respect from one rank to another rank. And so President Ronald Reagan actually started that tradition, and all presidents since then have really carried on that tradition of not only returning the salute to service members, but saluting the fallen. The family members do come to these dignified transfers. They're not required to, which is one of the reasons why they don't, classify this as a ceremony. But most families do show up. But these families, a casualty assistance officer, or what we call a CACO officer, has been with these families since they were first notified. So typically, Defense Department policy is 24 hours. Within 12 to 24 hours after a service member's death, they want to notify the families. The entire process is built around getting these service members back to their families as quickly as possible. And so that's what we're seeing here is these cabinet members and the commander-in-chief here paying their respects to these fallen service members.
And James, you have reported extensively on the circumstances surrounding the deaths of these service members. Remind us, what do we know about what happened?
So we have to go back to even before the U.S.-Israel led attacks on Iran, where the U.S. military was moving assets into the region. At the same time that they were moving assets in the region in preparation for their eventual strikes on Iran, at the same time the U.S. military was moving troops off of their bases. Defense Secretary Hegseth referred to this the other day in his press conference as getting off the X. What we have learned is that these troops in Kuwait who were moving off of their base and moving down to this tactical operations center, which was in this trailer that they were in, that was part of getting off the X, which is not a bad idea. Unfortunately, at the time, our reporting shows that they were under surveillance by Iranian intelligence at the time, and Iranian-aligned militia groups were surveilling those troops as they were moving off the base. So even before the U.S. and Israel began their strikes, Iranian groups had already scouted out where these troops were. And so in Iran's retaliatory attacks, that's how these soldiers unfortunately lost their lives, when a drone attacked the building that they were in, resulting in the 6 that were killed.
I want to come back to that in just a moment.